Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Tish Hyman.
I'm Louis Herms. I think I'm in Norwalk right now, as many cities as we go. I'm not going to say, hey, Detroit, but it's great to be here. You know, Tish, I've been hearing that you're a pretty amazing singer. I wonder if you've got something for us.
Oh, come on, Louis. All right. I got you. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you.
I've got nothing. That's beautiful.
Oh, man.
That's
God.
beautiful.
Thank you.
So we're going to do an informal little town hall today, and Tish has agreed to just sit down and let's just take some questions. Sometimes it just feels right, and I think today is a great day for that. What you got for us? 5,050 people here and not one question.
What are you going to do about CARB?
What are we going to do? Sorry, what's that?
What are you going to do about CARB?
About CARB. Oh,
California
Air Resource Board. Well, this may be shocking, but I'm going to do everything I can to eliminate CARB because they're more interested in putting out environmental regulations that tax businesses and do nothing for the environment. It's a political construct that purely is just to put their wrenches around businesses and prevent them from doing good work because it's all about control. So no more CARB if I have anything to do with it.
You know, and as mayor, I would support that decision and advocate with him, with the governor Lewis here, because I think that we shouldn't have people putting control over our local businesses, and our businesses know if that's what's going to stop them from creating revenue and doing good business, then no, we're going to have to stop that. So I would advocate and support.
Beautiful.
I have a question.
Sure.
So a bunch of my family members had to, either pre-register their cars or like re-register their cars, and the prices of, I'm just like shocked at how expensive everything is. And some of them are coming in from like other states and having to register their cars, and it's just like this a huge sticker shock. My brother couldn't register his vehicle at the moment because it needs to get smog, but he doesn't have the money to get it smog and fixed in order to get it smog. So at least he's paid the fines, to get the register, but he can't actually get the stickers because it can't get smog. So is there anything that you have in mind for that?
Yeah, I'll start. So, yeah, so the question is, what are we going to do about the obscene registration fees at the DMV and their regulations in regards to smog and so on and so forth. The reality is, originally, the smog ordinances made sense throughout the 70s and 80s, right? But ultimately, as is always done, is they've gotten more ridiculous and obscene and more restrictive on we the people. The reality is most vehicles should be smogged under the old regulations, not the new regulations that they change on a dime. I mean, the reality is right now, truckers can't even make an income. If you have a trucking company in California, they have to stop at the border and change trucks if they want to travel the nation because they can't afford to do it on a California smogged vehicle. It's ridiculous. So we're going to have to roll back some of those regulations. But when it comes to the DMV fees, it's pretty easy. Why would one car cost more than another car? There's no common sense there whatsoever. So we should have a minimum flat rate, could be $25, $50, whatever it is, right? I'm not going to pander to the public and pretend I have the price yet, but it should be small, flat rate. You're in, you're out, you're done. It's pretty simple.
So what do they do with those high prices then? Like, what are they doing with those high ticket registrations? Like, are they just like using it for their own personal gain or what?
So the question is, what do they do with high prices? And virtually, well, I found out throughout California, about 75% of what we have is waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. That's what we're dealing with. So I think a lot of it goes into political payoffs, right? And it goes right back into the pockets of the people that are controlling our lives for a long time. It's sad, but it's going to end.
As mayor, I was supporting this as well. I've suffered under these prices as well and paid registration fees that were just incredibly, I would say, unfair. You know, this doesn't make any sense. So I would be in support of that as well. I think that we need to do more work in making sure that the public has been met with transparency. So we know where our dollars are going, because we don't know where it's going. We have no fiscal responsibility, and it just seems like we're being shut out of the information and being shut out of the parties, and we're sitting here suffering in the crossfire of these two parties.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question. So recently, I don't know if you're aware, AB 2017 was proposed by Matt Haney. He's the mayor of San Francisco, to make Muslim Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha official state holidays and state holidays. So there is no state recognized religious holidays that might be on the calendar. So that is in committee, I believe, right now. What is your view on having that pass? Are you for it, against it?
I am not for it, to be quite honest. I think that if we've been keeping religion out, we should keep it out all around the board. We shouldn't make any exceptions for anyone. You know, if that's how we've been, that's how we should stay. I don't think that we need to change that.
For Matt Haney to introduce that there'd be a Muslim holiday is clearly him pandering, and it's just gameplay. That's all it is. It's ridiculous. No, absolutely not. I mean, how can you possibly have that holiday and then ignore all the other religions? It's ludicrous. So no, absolutely not. Just about anything that Matt Haney proposes is very easily, it's a no, because he has an agenda that's not a we the people agenda whatsoever.
Yeah, this is.
Any other questions?
So there is challenges from COVID where teachers and former employees were let go because their rights to their body for medical freedom was violated. And I don't know all the details, but I understand that there's further impositions on the children with vaccinations that parents aren't aware of. So it's a two-part question. What about those who were let go, violating their constitutional right of their body, and then the other side, the children's health and parental knowledge and rights?
So I'll help repeat the question. So we have one is what are we going to do about the teachers during COVID that were let go because they had a choice that did not fit the narrative. That's one question. And the other one is, what are we going to do about the children and parental rights in regards to their health, vaccines, so on and so forth? Is that about right? Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll start it off with one. I think that vaccinations and children and all of these decisions should be left to the parents. I don't think that that's something the government should have a hand in or have a say in. In regards to the teachers who lost their employment because of this terrible COVID policy and mandates, I think that there must be some way to have a coalition of them get together and figure out if there's an association we need to create, something to support these people, to bring them back to work, to get them back in the positions they were in. But most definitely, I can stand firm on the fact that I think parents should have the right to say whatever is done with their children, whether that be in regard to education or health care or anything. Everything should be deferred to parents first.
Teachers should be reinstated immediately, fully compensated, and given damages for their time. That's immediately. That is egregious what happened to teachers, because they made a choice, and it may have been a religious choice for them still, and they were pushed out of their jobs. In regards to children vaccines and medical, it's very, very simple. That decision is clearly between the parent, the child, and the practitioner. God forbid government gets involved in anything in regards to our physical health like that. That's a big no. In fact, I'll go as far as informed consent should be mandatory and signed off to prove that the doctors and the practitioners actually gave informed consent and they're not coercing somebody into something they did not want to do. I'm going to tag on to that too. There's been a big manipulation in regards to AB 495, which was put out there, and people are very, very afraid of this bill. Is there was one half they're saying this was to protect illegals, or they call them immigrants, right? The other half was conservatives say this is all about stealing children. The unsung issue here that many people don't talk about, than they should, is there's a health clause in there. What this really is about is this is a way, see, a few years ago, we would go in with our children, and if we tell a doctor, say we don't want some treatment or vaccine, they would browbeat us, right? And they would try to intimidate us into making the decision that they wanted to make. Now they won't do that because they have the protection of this bill. So now when we go in, we'll say, no, I don't want the vaccine, or I don't want this for my child. They say, oh, no problem. You'll turn your back. They'll go in, and they have the ability now to check your child out of school because of this bill and force vaccinate them without your approval. So it's much more than child trafficking. It was sold as that, but the hidden agenda is how they can do things that I consider unhealthy to your child without your consent.
Okay, so as for you're really big on child trafficking and human trafficking. Can you elaborate on what's happening in California in that regards?
Yeah, so in regards to child trafficking in California, this is deeply painful for me, and I've been studying child trafficking for a long time. I've done documentaries on it. Many people know Cages and some other things like this. And so what got us here? Well, interesting enough, people have to understand the enemy in order to defeat our enemy. Okay, so what got us here is the cartel and other beings suddenly realized they didn't have as much money in drugs anymore. I'm going to give you an example. So if they reproduce pharmaceuticals, they're competing against a pharmaceutical company that will have no problem taking them out, if you know what I mean, right? That's a hard thing to deal with. Marijuana starts to get legalized all over the place. So that's harder for them. Cocaine is not readily available as much anymore. People are switching to drugs like crack and so on and so forth, but they're figuring out that they can do that in their own bathtub. They can build this. So the market has changed dramatically. So they went to fentanyl. And the drug companies, I mean, not the drug companies, the cartel oversold fentanyl. So now we have almost 3 to 4 times more fentanyl on the streets in the United States of America needed that will kill everybody. And why would they want to sell a drug that's going to kill their user? They don't. So they decided to go to children, selling children, because they can sell a child 50 times a day if necessary. And they can keep making money on that child until that child is worn out. And then they carve them up while they're alive and sell their organs. That's what we're dealing with. So if you take just the profit amount, because it's a 95% profit business, our average industry in California is a 15% profit business. If you take the profitability of that, you're at least third, if not the second highest industry in the state of California. That's what we're dealing with. But again, we have to think about this. Do you think the cartel would be selling a product, as they call it, a child, if there was not a market for it? There's a market for it. Pedophilia is through the roof, right? Child trafficking is through the roof because there's a market for it. And it's disgusting. And we're going to form a task force day one. I'm already working with a bunch of people in the background. And day one, we are going to hit this so hard, it's going to make people's heads spin. And it's about education right now because people still don't believe it could be true. And it is.
I heard you're working with like a home for some of the safe children.
Yeah, so there's a great pastor up in Yuba City, Pastor Dave Bryan. And he's created an amazing place called Peace to Heaven that they're building currently up in Yuba City. And they're going to be able to house, I think, 325 children. And what's beautiful about this is after kids are saved, and by the way, the good news is there are groups, and even Navy SEALs are involved in saving children right now. So there's good news on the horizon. Thank God for that. But what they've done is they've created this piece of heaven. So what we've noticed is a lot of children that come out of child trafficking, they're not right? They have issues, understandably. But 70 to 80% of them that come out don't have families to go to. You know why? Because it was their own families that sold them into trafficking. That's what we're dealing with. So these homes that they're building are just incredible because it's going to be flowers all over in nature. They're going to be able to work in a garden and be rehabilitated with beautiful, beautiful biblical principles to be the best that they can be and feel like they have a safe place to be nurtured. And we're using this as a model, but then we can build these all over the country. So it's really special what's going on. And I know it's tragic, but we're also in a transition period where we're going to be taking down these trafficking. It's not just the cartels, by the way. We're going to be taking down these trafficking organizations. They're being financed by Fortune 1000 companies. Think about that. And attorneys and realtors. It's sick.
Yes. Go ahead. It seems like you wanted to ask another question. Go ahead. Go ahead. You know, I feel like he covered pretty much all of that. You know, he's really deep into this issue, and I'm really fairly new to this issue. So I'm listening and I'm learning. But what I would do in that regard with my responsibility to my city is I would just make sure that the police force that is in my city is aware of these issues and are just keeping their eyes on it and supporting the task force that he would put in. Just make sure that the support is there for the information to travel and that everyone could be aware, and make sure that we come and try to put this tragic operation to an end. You know, anything I could do to support that, that's what I would do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's really all we need. We need local law enforcement to not only be aware, but to take action. And I mean, we know judges have been preventing this action, right? We know sheriffs have been acting against their constitutional value set. We're holding them all accountable. I can tell you the first month I'm holding a sheriff's symposium, 58 sheriffs. And I'm going to re-educate them on what the Constitution is and what their oath means and how they must fight for we the people. And we're going to go back to a time where protect and serve meant something and that children want to be police officers and firemen and firewomen. That's the time we're getting back to. So thank you for the question.
So the other question I had was, we have an elderly mom who has, my dad passed away. she doesn't have retirement. She's on a fixed income. She has my sister who's handicapped, but she's owned the house. They've owned the house for at least 25 years, completely outright. And every month, or every 6 months, basically, they have property taxes. And I've had to help her quite a few times to actually pay those property taxes. So I'm wondering if there's something that you guys have up your sleeve as far as like what you can do with, property taxes is ridiculous. Like, is there any way that you can like elaborate on any of the ideas that you have?
Yeah, so I'll let you start in regards to property taxes. I have a concrete plan for that, and it's very, very simple.
Well, I think that when it comes to property taxes, I think we need to have some sort of a tier system with this, because it seems like, there are people getting hit with this from all different corners of our neighborhoods, and not everybody's on the same income. I think that, especially in regards to senior citizens, that we should have more programs that actually tend to them and look out for them and just make sure that they're able to continue out the last 30, 40 years of their life in peace and able to financially be stable. So I think with regard to with property tax, there could be some program that we could implement that would help senior citizens, that maybe give them some sort of tax break because of their age and because they've given their lives to us, and now they're at their old age where they want to relax. There's a way to kind of relieve them of this, I believe, and with the help of the governor, I think that's possible, 100%.
Yeah, so on day one, I will put forth a bill to end property tax immediately for all seniors, because they've worked hard enough to get that home. They don't need an opportunity for the government to steal it from them. By the way, property tax, in my opinion, is illegal. And then we're going to take it to a whole nother level after we go through the budget, and I'll go through that a little deeper later, where we will be able to end property tax for everybody in the state of California legitimately. It's actually very, very simple to do. And I say it all the time. If it's simple, it's God's work. And if it's messy, something else is probably going on.
I like that.
Yeah, and I'll get into it deeper if we get into the budgets. It's pretty cool. Yes, sir.
It feels like politicians are always quick to spend our tax dollars, but they're very slow to find new streams of revenue to come in, and which could then alleviate some of these taxes because we have money coming in from outside sources. And when you become governor, when you become mayor of Los Angeles, what plans do you have to bring more money into the state and into the city of Los Angeles?
Shall I go first?
You go.
I love this question. So, that's pretty much where I specialize. It's just economic revival. I think that what we have as a state, California, period, is we have the most beautiful, world-renowned landmarks, and people know of them no matter where you are overseas. You say, I'm in California, they go, where you at? Hollywood? Oh my God, Malibu? Oh my God, Santa Monica? And all these wonderful, beautiful places. So my plan is to celebrate these places by having public-private partnerships. There are so many things that we can do to bring economy back, to bring people wanting to bring tourism back, to make California cool again and make it safe again. That's, I think, is the first part, is to make it safe. But one, public-private partnerships in our tourism areas could be a great source of revenue. Also, extending our nightclub and event times throughout the night. I think if we went up just 2 hours to 4 a.m., that would open up a lot of tourism revenue, make people want to visit the city and the state again, and just create an element of lifestyle and culture that we used to have here. But it seems that it has been redacted by, all the hard times and COVID and all the things we went through. So kind of just regenerating that culture back. But we need revenue into our city. And that means building. That means building ADUs, affordable housing, low-income housing, modern-day rate housing. That means continuously trying to empower our businesses and opening the doors and supporting them however we can to keep the businesses going and keep businesses in California.
So I agree. And what's the best way in California to bring revenue into a city is to unthrottle and get rid of the restrictions that are the stranglehold on building or doing anything. The environmental restrictions and the bureaucracy and the red tape that we have to go through to build anything in this state is ludicrous. You have to have a large corporation with multitudes of money in order to build anything, because you have to have 3 or 4 people just to go through the red tape and the regulation. A small home builder cannot even have success in this state. So as governor, in order to assist you in Los Angeles, I would eliminate these ridiculous environmental regulations and the red tape and the bureaucracies that are done. And most of them are for control and money. That's it. That's going to help thrive right away. But let's dive into it. So we have something in California that I call WARF, waste, abuse, redundancy, and fraud. I said last February of 2025 that I suspect that California's WARF is 75%. I was told I was crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. And today, people are saying, Lewis, it looks like you might have been on target. So before we worry about spending, we need to get our house in order. And to get our house in order, we need to go in and what I call super doge, do a full forensic audit and cleansing of our budget. And that's the waste, the abuse, the redundancy, and fraud. Can you imagine? What if I was only half right? What if we only got rid of 50% of that? Suddenly, we're in a surplus. Suddenly, bye-bye property taxes, bye-bye income taxes. Watch people flooding in. And now we have all the money we need to do with anything. But we cannot spend anything until we clean our house up first. And we are done with the theft because it's coming right out of your pocket. And we, the people, deserve better than this. And that's why you need a guardian for California, not a governor. I don't want to govern anybody. I want to be the guardian to make sure I do the best for you, because guess what? I'm your employee. You're not mine.
So thank you for bringing that up, because recently, over the last couple of weeks, right, Nick Shirley has brought to light all the hospice scams, which is like another variation of the child care. And so maybe if you could just share what you discovered, how does that happen?
Sure.
And, so that we as citizens can participate.
Yeah.
In it.
I can go deep into this, actually, but I'll try not to. So the question is in regards of what type of fraud and scandals are going on, and Nick Shirley's exposing this. I actually spent about a minute with Nick Shirley about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, just real quick. In fact, I just texted him today on something I wanted him to look at. But we're also looking at some extraordinary things outside of him that we're about ready to expose that I've had investigators on for a long time. But I'll give you one simple one that we really should pay attention to. So school bonds. You need to know about this because it is rampant in the city of Los Angeles. I mean, when I have all the evidence that will blow you away. So to give you an idea, in the city of Los Angeles, they may put up, say, we need to build a high school. They check out the high school costs $50 million to build. But for some reason, they put a bond up for $100 million. The same people that are marketing that bond to get it to go through, to get us, we the people, to vote on it, are the same people that get the contracts. Go figure. And they charge 25 to 50% more than their going rate afterwards. That's stealing from your children. So by the time it's done, that project may cost $75 million to build. Oh, but wait, there's still a $25 million delta there, isn't there? Where does that go? Good luck with that. By the way, it seems about these same 6 attorneys that are involved in this fraud are the same 6 attorneys all throughout the state. You know what all of them have in common, which it does where you are, is they have a superintendent that was either appointed as temporary or does not have credentials. You have to have 2 teachers' credentials to be a superintendent. They are appointed. I have all the evidence. It will blow you away. The patterns are familiar. Why is there a pattern like that? Because the fraud is intentional and it comes in from the top. And they do this all throughout the nation, but California, it's tens of billions of dollars. Guess what? We have to pay those bonds. And when you take something that was $100 million and you put it through financing over 40 years, and then they refinance it. Now you're paying sometimes $500 million on $100 million. Does that sound like good management? They don't care. They're stealing from you. They're stealing from your taxes. And guess where that money comes from also? Oh, gee, property taxes, which they keep trying to increase. It's a perpetual wheel, and it's really, really disgusting. But that's one of the biggest frauds in here is bond fraud right now. Blow you away. Just absolutely astronomical.
Kind of on that same light, you know, we have the California lottery, and supposedly the California lottery winner money is supposed to go into, you know, fixing schools and things like that. So where is all that lottery money going?
I'll let you go on this first, and then I have a little tidbit that blows people away when I talk about this. It's really trippy.
It's going down the drain. We have no idea where it's going.
That's right.
You know, they're political fraudsters. They're friends that fraud. You know, they've known each other 20 plus years. They've worked with each other. They've hired each other. They've hired each other's family members. They're besties, and they're united in the truth of stealing our money and draining every citizen of this state. And that's why it's important for people to vote for new blood inside this political arena, because they're all in there. They're career politicians, and their careers are hiding, lying, and stealing the money.
Amen.
And keeping us none the wiser, keeping us at war with each other over blues and reds, political beefs that we really are not involved in. We're just people caught in the crossfire. So where's the money going? Your guess is as good as mine. We have no idea. And until we start to be active and activate our senses and really look at these legislators and the legislation that they're pushing and the percentages they want to raise and lower, we have to take accountability for ourselves and realize that they're not coming to save us. We have to save ourselves with education, with fellowship, with sharing of knowledge, because they'll tell us anything. So honestly, we might not get to the bottom of where this money has gone until we get a whole new team of leadership in there that's main objective is to get to the bottom of it, because their objective is to continue to hide it. So, you know, they're like, hey, buddy, you know, I won't tell that you did this, and I'll make sure this never gets there. Newsom's going to stop that. But if they weren't there and we elected people into power who actually cared and who were for the people, we would have more accountability and transparency, and we would have a better government.
Yeah, beautiful. So the genesis of the California lottery was in about the mid 80s. And I remember, because I was 18, I'm like, cool, I get to gamble, right? And they sold us that 100% of the money then would go back into our schools, right? And then over the years, they found a way to carve money off of that, reduce it, pay back more administrative fees, so on and so forth, and it got worse and worse. But here's where it really, really got bad. What they started to do is they said, oh, well, we have the California lottery money now, so now let's steal from the rest of the money in the budget. And what happens? Sports went down, instruments went down, books went down. You have to start buying your own pencils, so on and so forth. But here's the sickness that nobody wants to talk about. I don't give a damn. This is truth, and you can deal with it. You know who spends more money on the California lottery than anybody else?
Homeless people.
Homeless people and inner city folks. But let me ask you a question. If let's say they spend $1 million in a certain inner city on lotto, and in a wealthy city spends $50,000, do you think they go ahead and make that money go more to the inner city schools? No, they divide it by populace across the board. So the inner cities are taking it in the shorts, not winning the lottery, spending all of their money on lottery, but they're not getting their fair share of money from it. It's disgusting. I don't know why anybody talks about that, but that's just the fact.
I have a concern, and I think many are sharing this now, about AI and technology. AI is here to stay, automation is here to stay. I think I read somewhere that about 80 million jobs alone by 2030 are going to be automated in the United States, and a large portion of that will be in California. So what will you guys do as governor and mayor to help us transition so that people actually have some job security in the interim period? And are you guys in support of any kind of UBI like people have been talking about? Is that a good or a bad thing?
So I'll answer that first one. So UBI is talking about is universal basic income, right? And that's a struggle. to be honest with you, because from my libertarian roots, that scares me. But the real reality about it is if nobody has the jobs, you have to consider that. Although, let's look at the history of revolutions like the Industrial Revolution and so on and so forth. There was always a scare that jobs would be eliminated, and temporarily they were. And every time that vacuum was created, new jobs were created in a different sector. One thing we're figuring out about AI right now is most people are getting more efficient at doing what they need to do. I think ultimately AI would be a good thing. But I'm going to regress for a second, because about a year and a half ago, I was screaming at the top of my lungs, watch out for AI, it's evil, watch out what it's going to do for you. And then I made a conscious choice. I said, AI is not going anywhere. I said, so what do we do about it? Now I'm promoting that we get as many benevolent people involved in AI to make sure that we can control it and it goes in the right direction, and use AI for job creation, which we can use now. It can create completely new modalities. It can create new manufacturing jobs. It can create amazing new things, but we need to focus on the positive ways that we can use it. That being said, though, we also need to monitor and regulate it, because AI can go off the rails and start stealing all your information and start spending money right out of your bank accounts too if we let it go too far. So we need to be very, very smart about it. But historically, every time there's some type of revolution in the job market, they just get displaced and they end up someplace else. So I have a feeling that's really what's going to happen.
I agree, honestly. I think that, AI isn't going anywhere. It's here to stay. And, like any time or any change in any industry, you have to move with it or you die behind it. I think that regulation is a key factor with AI. I see the Waymo cars out there, and I always say when I'm mayor, you're going to see Waymo way less. Because I do think that there are jobs that humans can still do, and I think that that's a job that humans can still do. And I mean, there's a flip switch to the Waymo. Some women feel more comfortable driving in a car at night without a driver, so that I can see. But there's also a level of professionalism that comes with having a black car driver and these things of this nature. So I think we just have to have regulations, balance it out. Maybe there's a percentage of Waymo cars that are out there, and there's a percentage of human-driven cars, and that's that. I think businesses do shift in these type of vacuum situations where like things are coming in and things are going out. I think that the medical field is a really big business in healthcare. Just kind of guiding our people into different career choices, right? Because there was a time where where everyone may have thought that the future was computers, right? Which it was, but there was elements of how that grew and how that changed over time. So now I believe that services that only humans can do are a big business that's going to re-emerge, like like taking care of each other, elderly care, hospital care, nurses, doctors. We just need to inspire people and lead them towards the direction of jobs that still exist to this day, and not kind of like revamp these old ways, because a lot of people are still stuck. Like I know a lot of people going to college for things that won't exist in 5 years. So I think really having regulations and having the foresight to see where this is going and kind of have government that protects its constituents from it, like just making sure we guide them.
Agreed. And I may have a Pollyanna vision on this, but I think right now AI is taxing our creative nature because it's recreating songs and it's recreating content, and I think it's going to be exactly the opposite. What I have a feeling is when people learn how to use AI and be more efficient in their life, they are going to take up guitar and learn how to play guitar. They're going to spend more time singing, more time in art, more time putting their feet in the sand. So ultimately, we need to find the good and how we can use it to our benefits. But it takes wonderful, benevolent people to keep pushing that agenda forward so we don't go down the bad road.
Another thing about all this AI talk, the data centers that they want to build. And I know that they want to make Bunny Hills Mall into a data center. Well, what's going to happen with the increase in electricity, the increase in water usage when they were crying all these years, we have a drought, save, preserve,
Good question. So we're talking about the infrastructure. What's going to happen to the infrastructure of electricity and let's say, and water, because they have to be cooled when these huge data centers are produced for AI. I think what we need to understand and what's most important is we the people come first. So before we even think about giving extra water or extra energy to any big corporation, it needs to go to the people and it needs to go to the farmers. That's priority. Now, the good news is I have 2 protocols that we're going to establish right away that will help us with the electricity, so it probably won't be an issue. There's something out there called SMR technology, small modular reactor technology, that actually goes under the ground in a box. You only need a few of them all throughout the United States to power the complete electrical grid, and your energy costs will drop by about 50%. Right? If you don't like that, I have another protocol that I've seen firsthand that's amazing, where we can build a power plant right on a landfill and have 97% efficiency with the landfill turning that into energy and drop your energy by 50 to 60%. Again, using the same electrical grid. These are huge. Eventually, and this is where I put my tinfoil hat on, we need to get to a point where we have 0-point energy at everybody's home. Because 0-point energy is free energy, which exists already. And there's been people that have been killed for it throughout the decades. And the establishment doesn't want you to know about it. Do you know why? You know, the single best way to capture your sovereignty is to be completely off the grid. And if you can create energy on your own land, it's done. You don't have a need for the government anymore. So eventually, now that'll take 20 or 30 years to acclimate us to that point and build it. I've already looked at systems, the real, I can't say out loud who has these because they are afraid for their life, but these are real systems, and that's the direction that we're going also in regards to that. So I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. We have water plans that are magnificent, by the way. We just have to open up our reservoirs already. But then we have something, I have a guy his name's Richard Lee, amazing guy. He has put this whole plan together that we actually can create a massive reservoir, which be the largest lake that California's ever seen, based on runoffs and current rivers. And guess what? We can abandon the Colorado River. We wouldn't even need to have usage for it. And you know what that means? That means the states and the countries that need the water from the Colorado River might just financially subsidize us if we let that river flow. These are out of the box thinking of ideas that actually can work, right? And we need to stop playing politics and talk about these real world solutions.
And I'll just tackle on to that. I agree with him 100%. What I would do as mayor is I would sit down with him and I'd say, what do you think about this? And he would give me these 2 options and I would look and review the information. And then I would use my own mind to maybe bring some solutions, maybe a couple of suggestions, and defer to him on this because he's the governor and that is kind of his real big decision. I'm more of a supporting role in that. But my main goal would be to try to make sure that we get the best options that work for the people first and for what our needs are with energy. So that would be my main thing, is just to find the best solution to this problem. And I would base that off of, his expertise and his advice, and also my own group's expertise, and just kind of put them together to make the best decision for the people.
And you know what I love about you is I don't know what your political party is, and you don't know what mine is. And I don't give a damn what your political party is, because it's all about how can we work together to do the best for we the people that we possibly can. Is that not refreshing?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We have to. Unity is the key.
Yes.
I was just gonna piggyback on that because so many of us are grieving friends and family members that are still alive because we've cut each other out of one another's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking to people like yourselves, leaders, to stand up and be the adults in the room. As governor and mayor, how do you advocate for that in a local, state, and federal level? How do we challenge even our media that has become sensationalized entertainment news that doesn't make us think critically, but rather just gives us confirmation bias entertainment?
Right.
What can we do together to create spaces where we could have these nuanced conversations? Because so much of what we're arguing about, we're doubling down on the fear and the ego. So how do we create spaces?
We are. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to be warriors, and we need to call out the media to their face when they are trying to divide us. We say we won't have that. This is people before party. It's always people, should always be people. And the reality, and I talk about this often, our founding fathers, Washington, Adams, Madison, all talked about this political construct of parties would be the death of America. Yet here we are. Thomas Jefferson indicated that if he were to go to heaven, but he'd have to pick a party to do so, he's not going to heaven. But where are we today? D, R, blue, red, conservative, liberal. Does it really matter? The reality is do you know that we agree upon 85% of the issues? The Democrats and Republicans are lockstep on 85% of the issues, but they don't know it. Why? Because we only talk about the 15%. Because when they divide, they conquer. That's what we're dealing with. And we, the people, need to snap out of it and say, no, we will not accept this. We will not have it. And we're better and we're stronger than this.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you this, to bring it even closer to the ground level. I grew up in the Bronx. I was surrounded by gangs. There was the Reds, the Bloods, and the Blues, the Crips. And I didn't join either gang. You know, I had friends on each side, and I didn't always agree with the war they were into, but I would just stay out of it. And every year I threw a birthday party, and they all wanted to come. They were, Tish, I want to come to your party. I'm like, hey, if you want to come to my party, you can, but do not wear your gang flags here. I do not want anybody fighting, and if you bring your gang flags, it's going to be a problem. It's going to ruin my party. If you ruin my party, I will not be your friend. And no one would wear their gang flags. And they came to the house. We had a party, and at the end of that party, they went back to their respective gang activities. And what I'm trying to say is if I could get a bunch of thugs, ignorant gang members, to put their flags down to have a party, then we should be able to put our flags down and have an America party. We have to get back to why we started. People always ask me what was the best information or advice I could give them when they came into Hollywood to chase their dreams. And the only thing that I could say was, remember why you started, because you'll never get lost if you know why you started. Remember why we started the United States. Remember where we come from. It is our strength. And our biggest weakness is that we're forgetting that. We're forgetting our core values, family, culture. And we have an American culture collectively. There is no white, no black, no Latin, no Spanish. We're all Americans here. And the sooner we realize that, we can get back to being people. Because right now, there are people acting like they're a part of the Bloods. And people acting like they're a part of the Crips. And they're not even there when they're having their secret meetings and when they're making these choices. We are not in the gangs. We are not in the Bloods or the Crips. We are in the middle of a gang war, in the crossfire. And the sooner we recognize that and come together and tell the gangs, no, we want you guys to have peace. We don't want it anymore. We're not allowing you to have this power over our neighborhoods, AKA our states and cities. Then we can be strong. Then we can truly make change. But we have to be united in truth.
Beautifully said. And I would liken that the gangs are in California and the United States are the controlling mechanisms of the political classes that have been running things for a long time. So how about we take one more question?
Yeah.
And we're good to go.
So you talk about how people are divided and also in pharmacy. When you hear regular pharmacists how they're educated, and doctors too, on vaccines, it's complete wrong information that they don't learn the truth. Yeah. And like we need a whole re-education for that. So the people that we don't get along with, they hear a completely different narrative than we do, right? So what can we do? I'd like to re-educate the medical profession.
Right. I'll repeat the question and then I'll let you go. I think the question had to do is how do we deal with doctors and pharmacists that don't even have the right education to recommend something like an mRNA vaccine how exactly are we going to deal with that moving forward? Is that right?
Yes, well, like, they don't have the truth, they don't know about the vaccine.
They don't even have the truth,
They
right?
don't know the
Because
dangers, they don't-
they're being fed information purely for profit.
and they don't know where you report vaccine damages, like, they don't learn that either.
Right. Okay. Cool.
I think we have to get to the root. I think the root is whoever's behind these doctors pushing this stuff through. And I think that we have to be accountable for the things that we allow people to tell us that we believe. I'm sorry, the COVID vaccine made zero sense as they explained it to us. It won't stop you from getting the COVID virus. It won't stop you from spreading it. That to me was the two sentences that added up to don't get the vaccine. However, we have to hold ourselves accountable for what we allow ourselves to believe. And we also have to hold the doctors and the physicians accountable, but they're getting it from somewhere else. Big Pharma has had a war on us for a long time. I don't see any difference between the COVID vaccine, I'm sorry, and the HRT drugs that they're now using to trans our children, and the opioid epidemic from, I guess, 2010.
Right.
So the one thread tying all this together is Big Pharma. And they've always had this monopoly on us. It's up to us. No one could make me get that vaccine. When you explained to me what it was, what it did, I, as an individual thinker, said no. And a lot of people did.
Yep.
And a lot of people were outcasted for it. But we have to see that and call that out and do something about it. Our leaders have to do something about it. It's the same thing as when I go to Europe for a visit and I'm like, oh, the food here is so delicious. A fruit is a fruit. You eat a strawberry in Europe and you eat a strawberry, the most organic strawberry, and it's not the same. But if we're accepting fake food, if we're accepting this, and we're not fighting, we're not standing together, we're not uniting in truth against the powers that be, then the powers that be will always be.
Yep. I agree. You and I should just talk about food for about an hour. The regenerative farming and everything that goes along with that. But it's interesting. So we live in what I call the Rockefeller realm, right? And the reality is the healthcare is not healthcare. It's a for-profit model. Think about that. They're incentivized to keep us sick. Is that really where we want to be? So do we want to listen to doctors that are incentivized to keep us sick? Just think about what I call the pandemic, right? Just think about that time in life. They were telling us, the doctors, you must wear a mask, right? That has a hole in it that is 50 times larger than the largest virus. Does that make sense? Does it make sense that we go into a restaurant and we wear a mask, but suddenly we're safe when we sit down? How exactly does that work? Does the virus knows it's a very smart virus. It's like, I can't go below 4 feet. Time out, right? Same with the planes. None of it makes sense. In the airport, sit 6 feet apart, but when you get on the airplane, you're safe and you can sit right next to each other. But we bought it and we didn't fight back. Hook, line, and sinker. Did you know that 80% of our issues are either environmental or nutrition, but a doctor's education on those are less than 3%? Think about it. That's heavy. So where are they incentivized? They're incentivized to keep the matrix going, unfortunately, and to keep us sick, right? But we need to educate the doctors, and it's okay. You can say, nope, you don't have that one right. Let me educate you. And then they get all on their God perch. Move on. And then go on social media and expose them. But we, the people, have not been fighting. What we'll do is we'll leave, we'll go, oh, that doctor, blah, blah, blah. What did you do about it? Did you send a letter? Did you report him? Did you go on social media? Did you let every single friend know about that doctor? Or did you just go back and go, I'll just ignore the medication that he's put me on? Think about it. When it's for profit, when a medical establishment gets paid, incentivized to give you a PCR test that the creator of the PCR test says it will not work, by the way, and he died. It will not work when you magnify it over 20 times, yet they're magnifying it 40 times. Yeah, exactly. So they get incentivized for that. They get incentivized for a positive test. Then they get incentivized to admit you to the hospital. They get incentivized to put you on an intubator. They get incentivized to give you remdesivir. They get incentivized if they can convince the family member to put and agree with COVID on the death certificate. And the funeral homes went right along with it. And the embalmers were too afraid to give the information out. So how do we get past that? It's not my fault. It's your fault. Everybody that did not speak up against the system and scream at the top of your lungs, you are complicit in this. And we, the people, have to get together and not be complicit any longer. And we need to scream from the rooftops, we will not take it anymore.
Absolutely. We're at a turning point, guys. This is a turning point for our city and states. If we don't get out there and be patriots and care about our communities and care about our state and the people that lead us, we're going to lose more than we've already lost. I would have never stepped in to run in this election if I didn't think it was one of the most important things that I've ever done in my life. And I stepped in because I saw that leadership was suffering. And I saw that I was suffering and my neighbors are suffering. And I saw that people are tapped out, people are tired, people are stressed, and no one wants to deal with the ugly realities that we have to face. But either we're going to deal with it by choice or by force. And
Amen.
we're already on the bridge, on the brink of force. Because if we get the wrong governor this time, we get another Newsom type, Swalwell, Hiltons, all of these interesting, sensational characters that are just like, people are going, oh, they look good, they're attractive, that sounds cool. Snap out of it. We need to snap into the boring part. Let's look at these people, look at their history. We need good leadership. We need real leadership led by people, not politics and parties. These people are doing each other favors left and right. We got to break up the party. We're going in there to break up the party. We're going to start our own party, the party of the people. But it can't be done without the people. And I know we're tired. I know we're beat down. Our kids are disinterested. Everybody's like, well, what's going to change now? Nothing with that attitude. We got to say, we're going to change now. We're going to do it. We're going to pick leadership. I'm not the typical politician, and neither is this gentleman here. We're just people who love our city, our state, and we're stepping up to do something about it. And I'm so glad to be here with you, Louis. I really am.
Tish, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Make sure you tell everybody on my channel, if they're watching, where can they find you?
You can find me, hymanformayor.com, HYMAN, 4, mayor, MAYOR.com. And I'm on all social media platforms. I'd love to hear from you, love to hear your concerns, love to hear what you thought about this interview. And I'd love to see more people stepping up and being patriots. If you're watching this and you're like, man, if you got any feeling to get involved, whether it be councilman, statesman, whatever it is, get involved because we need you. We need people who care. We need younger people. We need people who are living in the areas they want to represent and care about the government and the city and states. And we need you to support us so that we can continue to do this.
What she said. Just go to hermsforcali.com, HERMSFORCALI.com. Volunteer, support, donate. We're up against massive money machines. They don't like us, so we're going to need it. But God bless you. Appreciate your time, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.